Hello everyone, this is Betsy from Ideas Times 2. Welcome. Today I have a little bit of a tutorial slash craft with me. Very excited about this. This is going to be collaging on clipboards. So these are clipboards. These are new ones that have been decorated up, but today I have some vintage ones that I'll be using. So that'll be fun. These are great. Look at how giant these clips are. So this is a small one, but this is the bigger one. Look at how big that clip is. Yeah, that's going to keep your papers in well, isn't it? There's no chance they're going to fall out. So anyway, I'll show you. These are a couple that I've done this one. Cindy's done this one. She gave me this as a gift. We worked on these together. I had vacationed at her house, and we usually do a craft together, and so she had made this one for me, and then as we were working I had made this one. So I have two of them, and you may ask, well, what do you do with these? It's just collaging on a clipboard and what you do with them. So, well, you can use them as a clipboard. You can put in a notebook that flips up. We'll have a paper backing, so you can just clip that in there and use that. Even if it's a little bit dimensional, that paperboard backing of your notebook will smooth it out for you so that you can write easily, very easily. Or you can use them as artwork, which is what I have. These, I'm a sewist as well, and so these are a pairing of mine, and I hang these on my wall. So I just think they're so cute. These clips are different than the clips we will be using, and it's kind of hard. Oh, there we go. It's hard to see. But these have just like a bar that comes down. So so the look of the vintage ones are a little bit different, but lots of fun to use or just use for decorating. So let's get started collaging. I'll give you some tips and tricks, and we'll get going. I'm excited. All right, so I'm going to have a bit of an iris theme, I think. So I do have a few leftover images from a digital kit, plus a lot of it's just going to be sort of your basic collaging. And of course you don't have to have a theme if you don't want to. You can just do vintage, or for example, if you have a lot of Tim Holtz products and you like super grunge, you could do that kind of thing. They're just so much fun. They are so much fun. It's nice to have a surface that is like a clean slate for you. All right, so now the ones I just showed you started out, and it's a good base, is to coat the whole back with something. You could paint it, because we will be putting a protective coating on it all at the end, so the paint would be protected, from scratching off and stuff like that. But so you could paint it, you could stencil on it, you could do all kinds of things, but I think a good base for this would be tissue paper, which is what we used on the other two that I just showed you, which I keep looking for them. They're right here at my feet. So this Cindy used sewing pattern paper on the back of tissue, on the back of hers, just collaged all kinds of pieces. And then I use like a regular tissue paper that you can buy at the store. For example, like this one here. I have a bunch of little scraps right off to the side here for when I feel, I think this one might be a napkin. This is just little bits and pieces of all kinds of things that just kind of make up my neutral-ish background. And then this one is all the same, which is just beautiful. Just beautiful. So anyway, I think mine is going to be a little bit collaged up. And I'm trying to decide if I should use this. This might be a little busy. So, but I like the colors, and look, I've got some purple on there for like iris, but I might use pieces of this instead of using it as a background. I might go ahead and use this. This is nice and neutral. once you get it wet, it's going to have some fun texture. So I think I will use that one. And then get started. So let me just tell you what I'm going to be using today. I have, my favorite matte medium is actually by Dina Wakley. It's very expensive. I do have a small jar of it. I had done sort of a test. I'll see if I can find the video for you. I had done a test of different matte mediums and which ones I liked best, and my favorite was Dina Wakley. Oh, this is the wrong jar I'm holding up, so I'm not even holding the right jar. So I've got, now these are old. This one is very thick. It's matte gel from Liquitex Professional, and this is matte medium. So it's a fluid medium from Liquitex Professional, and I'm kind of planning on, because this is so old, and you know, when you're working on it, the jar has been open, and so it's sort of, it's not dried up, but it's sort of the water in it has evaporated a little bit. So I kind of plan on mixing these together. So this is what I'm using today, but any gel medium will work, or any matte medium will work. For example, Mod Podge, right? Mod Podge now makes like a dozen different types of medium for collage, and so that works fine too. My experience with Mod Podge is not good, but I do live in a very humid climate, but I feel like Mod Podge is also very tacky, and it kind of stays that way. So that's my experience with Mod Podge. I was thinking about that this morning. I thought, you know, if I use that, I bet you could not powder it, but I bet you could sort of like, for example, for card making and embossing, heat embossing, I have this like powder tool. I bet you could sort of pounce a little bit of something, not cornstarch, because that is that might attract bugs or something, but I bet you could use some sort of, I don't know, substance that would, or maybe you could even spray it with a spray, matte acrylic, I don't know. But anyway, today I'm going to be using Liquitex, and you know, it might be worth experimenting with Mod Podge. It's readily available, and anyway, so I'm going to apply this with, I'm going to start out with just the sponge brush. It's a real cheapo thing, and I'm going to start out with that, and we'll see how that works. If not, I'm going to go to a brush. So I'll probably speed some of this up. Yeah, this is getting real thick, so I'm not even sure if I can use that. But I will definitely try this. I'm going to pour that out and try to keep my jar closed this time. So see if I can do this here. We'll see. Maybe this will be good for like heavier things. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. When it comes to this, it is going to sort of need to be pieced at the top, but the little mechanism here is not like completely flush. It looks like there's a little space, so I should be able to tuck the paper up underneath there. So that'll be the first part I'm going to do, just because that part is a little tricky. And so I'm going to have to hold this with my hand. I'm going to have to hold it up. Just smash some of that matte medium on there and see if I can tuck that up under there. So that's good. That's good. And I'm going to kind of smooth this down with matte medium on the top as well. And the wrinkles I want, so I don't mind texture at all. I was thinking I would slide this over, but I don't think so. I think I'm just going to collage and make sure I've got a piece that will come down here. Okay, so that tucked up nicely. So I'm just going to sneak under there on each side. and make sure that's all down. All right. I'm not too worried about getting it on the mechanism because I can wipe that off if I want to, or something. Could actually put alcohol ink on there too before you start collaging. And I might just rub some on later. All right, so I'm going to continue with this. I think I'm going to just use the big piece, rip it off on the sides, but I'll come back and show you that. Okay, so far so good. Just smoothing it all down and going over the top with my brush here. And then I'm gonna just put some, I think this is Tim Holtz, what does he call it? I can't remember what he calls it, but this is Tim Holtz collage paper, I think he calls it. So make sure you get the edges really well. And I'm getting the edge here as well, so I can just kind of rip this off. This side's been soaking for a minute, so I'm going to go ahead and you could wrap this around the back if you'd like, but then you're probably going to have to cover, unless you're going to hang it on the wall, I guess, then it's fine. Go wrap it around the back. My plan was to just rip it off sort of even. Okay, and I'll show you in just a second here. I ripped that, which is fine, because it's always good to just patch it up. When you're doing collage, patching up is the name of the game, right? So this one, oops, it's still pretty wet, so it is actually, I'm moving it. This is kind of interesting. It's giving me a hard time. It's really strange, but maybe it's against the grain of the paper. I don't know. That was kind of weird, because normally, well, actually, I'm just going to take this off for a minute. Try again. Try again. Okay. And then what I'll do is just kind of rub this on the corner just to make sure that corner is getting wet. You could use a water pen too, or a cup of water and a little paintbrush and just kind of get that wet on the edge. All right. Then I also have, okay, so I am going to use a little bit of this green, I think. That'll be cute. But it is pretty busy, so I don't want to use tons and tons of it. But I think little touches of it will be cool. Okay, so I'm gonna continue doing some little patches here and there. I'll be back. This is what I came up for the background. So I did use mostly those tissues that I showed you. I did bring in a little bit of book page in a couple different spots there. Otherwise, it's pretty much all the tissue paper and the Tim Holtz collage paper as well, which I came to the conclusion that it's just stronger than regular tissue paper, and that's why it's just hard to rip, but it's doable. Anyway, so this is going to dry, and then I would like to add a little bit. First of all, I'm going to pick my images and figure out what I'm going to be putting on top of here, and then maybe get some texture on here and some inking or that kind of thing. So I'll be back after this dries. All right, this is not dry yet, but I wanted to come on. I was fiddling around with images. I have a folder with kind of some leftover iris digitals that I had, you know, and they're just leftovers. I have a card that has, and I had typed the word iris on some paper, and so like I just have a miscellaneous cachet to work with, and I thought, well, this would be a pretty focal image. And I also am going to use some of this textured paper my sister Cyndi gave me, but I felt like the background is slightly busy for this, and so what I'm going to do, and I do this quite a bit too, is whitewash it. Not whitewash the whole thing, but just like streaks of white, just to kind of tone it down a little bit, and then I'll have more of a neutral slate to work with when I put this on top, because I did feel like I was getting a little bit lost in the busyness, but that's, you know, it might not be your style. You might like it just the way it is, or maybe your background is just one sheet, and then maybe easier to layer on top of that. So however you want to do it is perfectly fine. However, I am gonna let this dry. It's not too bad, but I'll let it dry a little bit more, and then I'm just gonna put some streaks of white on it, and I'll come back and show you that, as well as get started on the rest of the collage. All right, I decided to show you kind of how I'm going to do this. I do love it, but like I said, just want to tone it down just a tiny bit. So on my paint palette here, I just have some acrylic paint. This here is like an antique white, and then this is a brown, just in case I'm thinking this is too stark. I might mix a little bit of brown in there to make it sort of tannish. So it's just plain, you know, little bottle of acrylic paint that I'm using. And a sponge brush as well. And if I get some of these other colors on my palette in there, I'm not worried about it. So you can see the lovely texture on there as well. I'm always super happy when I see that texture. Probably the center is going to be covered up quite a bit, but literally just rubbing my brush on there just to tone it down. Ooh, better get under here, otherwise it's going to look funny. Okay, I think that's pretty good. A little bit toned down. If you can, I'll hold it up close so you can see it. So it still has lots of fun texture and whatnot in the background. So now we're gonna dry again, and we'll come back and maybe do some inking. All right, all dry with that extra little layer of streaky paint on there. Super happy with it. So I did, you know, look through my stash, found a nice iris one that I thought I would use. So I ripped the edges and inked them. I also sewed around the edges on that just for a little bit more interest, and it's in a light color there. So that's going to be somewhere in the middle. I kind of like it off to the side a little bit, so I might do the side and then maybe some more interesting things down here to kind of balance it out at an angle there. So, and then like I said, I wanted to use this textured paper from Cyndi. It doesn't even look like paper. It might actually be fabric. It kind of looks like a fabric. But anyway, it's very cool. And so what I planned on doing is putting the color underneath here and then gluing that on top and then gluing this here. I also came across, I've got a crocheted doily pieces here, and I have these beautiful fibers. So somehow would like to incorporate that too. Also found some little labels, like word. I have a bunch of pages of those, so if I could, you know, incorporate that too. So what I did here to work on my color portion of the background, I just have some ink sprays. So I have just a variety of ink sprays. Some of this is actually a Stampin' Up! re-inker and just whatever I had. And kind of wanted to focus like on a purple, maybe a green. This is maybe a brown to tone things down or to add a different color. And then this is actually the dark red, and I thought I could combine those and make more of a burgundy, a deeper pink color. Anyway, so those are my color choices here. And like I said, I would like to focus sort of the color down here. So all dry, and so this corner had the streaky bits, and the rest of it has more splatters. And I stayed within sort of the pink color, the fuchsia color, because of the image. So, and then also remember too that I had done green here, and green here. So always a good idea to put things in threes. It'll draw your eye around rather than just an even number. An odd number is always better, artistically speaking. So I did cut this down a tad bit, and what I thought I would do is I definitely want this on here, so I'm going to put this on. I'm going to Mod Podge this on, Mod Podge this on. I might, I'm trying to think, maybe I'll glue it on. I think I'll glue it on with Fabri-Tac. The Mod Podge, I think, will, or the matte medium is going to go over the whole thing, but I think to really adhere that down, I want to put Fabri-Tac. So, but I thought I would just show you. So I got my matte medium out again. I just covered it up with Saran Wrap, which I thought about doing a Saran Wrap paint technique. That would have been cool too, but I'm going to be doing a couple more of these, so it might be fun to experiment. Now this does have a tendency to make ink spread, so I'm trying to be careful. I don't want it to be muddled and then have a big mess. But it actually did really well. So I'm trying to get that to stick now with the matte medium. It's like a glue. Like a glue. If I can get it to actually work, that would be great. And if this fabric gets ink on it too, all the better. I think that'll be awesome as well. There, it's starting to stick a little bit. Well, maybe not. That's interesting. This is not paper though. Like I said, it's maybe a polyester, so it's having a little bit of a harder time sticking. So I will get out my Fabri-Tac and we'll dot it with glue. Yep, just wasn't quite adhering. It did get a little ink on it though, which is awesome. So let's dot it here and there. It doesn't have to be 100% like every space stuck down, just so it lays nice and flat. And there will be an image on top, so that will help keep it down as well. So I can't quite get all of them, obviously. So I might just, there, much better, much better. Now, was I going to put it this way or the other way? I think I was going to put it this way. Let's check that out. No, I think this way is going to be better. Better to decide before that glue dries. Okay. So if there are any places that need resticking or sticking for the first time, because like I said, it was kind of hard to tell what was dotted with glue and what wasn't by holding it up there. Okay, get this stuck down. Okay, boom. Good, good. All right. Now, this is going to go down for sure, and I think it will be central. I was kind of wondering about that earlier, but I think it will be central. But I don't know if I'm going to tuck something underneath the edges, so what I'm going to do is just, and this is coffee stained. The company I bought this from was called AfterMidnight Designs, so I will leave a link below. Now, it's been a while, so I hope they're still in business, but if not, I'll notate that. But I'll note that. But for now, hopefully, and then I will put a link to her shop. This was such a beautiful, she contacted us and asked us if we would make something from one of her kits, and so we chose this one. Just super beautiful, super beautiful. Okay, so I'm more comfortable using Fabri-Tac under here. It's a very strong glue, and it is being glued to like a paint, paint surface / paper surface, so that's perfect for that, and it's holding this down very, very well. There's a few spots that need a little help. Okay, a few spots. Now, what I thought I would do, I was trying to figure out how to incorporate this fiber, and what I think I want to do is put, like, I believe it's just two types. So one is this crochet looking one, and then one is got almost like a ladder design, and I guess they're yarns, right, or fibers to knit and crochet with. So what I thought I would do is maybe fold it over. I can trim some of this if I need to. So fold it over and then use 4 strands of it. And I thought I would glue / Mod Podge it right down onto the board. I have no way of like stitching it on. I could stitch it on a piece of paper and then come down, but I really like the look of it on that background. So I'm going to give this a whirl. Don't know if I've ever, tried this, but it's going to sort of look organic, just kind of wavy, and we're going to give it a try and see what happens. And I think I want the ends all cut. So this fold over part, I will cut and then just give it a whirl. I think the colors are just so beautiful with this image. And I'm going to sort of fold them over and swirl them around here. And you can always go back and, dot more glue if needed. but I kind of like that. And if I'm going to use it as an art piece, you don't have to put Mod Podge on it, but if you're going to use it in your everyday environment, you may want to Mod Podge the whole thing so that it kind of becomes one surface. I kind of like this folded over the top like that, so I'm going to keep that on there. And glue that. Nice. But you can see it's not, just kind of artistically lay that down. Now this may not be your cup of tea. You could do, for example, I brought out everything. You could just do like a line of lace. You know, I might try to incorporate that anyway. Maybe not, but you can dye lace too. You can use your ink sprays if you have any to dye lace, or you could, if you have any like t-shirt dye or whatever, you can dye your lace. I mean, that would be super cool. All kinds of things you can do. These fibers, I think I've had them for probably 3 or 4 years with Cyndi when we were at a sewing event. But they're so pretty. It's so pretty, really so pretty. Okay, so I'm liking that. Oops, there's a little dot of glue I need to cover up. All right, so far so good. Now I don't know if I want a whole lot more on here, but I do want to, I think, put some words and maybe tuck something. I do have some doilies too, some paper doilies. I have this kind, which is kind of big. I did have over here in my pile of things I was looking through. Ooh, there's some words I tore off a page, and that says flowers. That might be something I could put on there. Let's see. I know I had a doily over here, so let me see if I can find it. All right, I did find my doily, but I didn't really like it. I thought, well, I'll just, I was going to ink it up a little bit so it's not bright white. But I tried it in different places, kind of folded it, tried it different places, and I didn't care for it on there. So I came across this green silk, and I thought, well, I'd use the green silk here. I thought how pretty it would be to have. So here's a leaf skeleton, and of course it's not going to show up very well unless it's on a dark background. So I thought I would put this right here. And I did go ahead and glue the edges down on this because I don't really think it needs too much else poking out. I think it looks okay the way it is. One of my secrets for gluing something, a fabric this thin down, is to sew a piece of paper on it, and then the paper can get glued right on without worries of any bleed through. Also, what I did was I sprayed this with green ink spray, so it already looks like it's got texture and pattern in it. That way, if there is any glue seepage anywhere, it's going to look like it's part of the pattern. So that's just kind of a hint on that. Also, what I thought I would do, this is going to be impossible to glue down, right? So, and actually I think I just ruined that. I'll have to get another one. So what I'm going to do is encase it in acetate. So I'll have 2 layers of acetate. I'm going to stitch around it and then attach it onto here. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to attach it because it's going to be see-through, but I think I'll figure that out. I think I'll just have to figure that out, I guess. Maybe I can actually sew it onto here as well. Anyway, I'll figure that out, and I'll be back and I'll show you what I came up with for the acetate and the leaf. All right, so I sewed the leaf in between 2 pieces of acetate, and I attached the ribbon or the silk, I sewed that across on each end, then, which it'll be fine, it'll lay flat, and then this is the fabric I had attached already to glue this on. So you can see I did put some glue on there already, because one time I goofed up and I just decided not to show you my goof up. But now is when we're going to add our glue onto this paper, not having to worry at all about bleed through. And I gotta find the right place for it. I don't want it to be like super heavy down here, but I do want it down just a tad bit. So like maybe right there. And I'll hold that down. Okay, now the next step, what I think I'm gonna do, this isn't super busy. All right, so there's what it looks like so far. What I think I'm gonna do to put a little bit more weight up here now, even though this is a giant clip, right? So it's probably fine the way it is. But for one more element, what I think I'm gonna do is put a chain, like maybe a ball chain, and then hang a little bit of a dangle down here. So let me get the materials for that and I will show you that. All right, so here we have it, the finished product. Here's I did choose a ball chain. I think that was a good choice. Removable, totally removable. And I just attached a bunch of charms on there. Some of them are attached with garment pins. Some are just charms that are on the chain. And there's a key and etc. Well, etc. Not and etc. Just etc. Right? So anyway, so that is it. And then, so your eye kind of, this is central, and your eye kind of goes to these different elements. So that is it for my my art piece. You definitely could make this into, actually it could go just like this as a notepad, or I mean a regular clipboard. You could just put a notepad right on top of all this stuff. This might get in the way though, removable. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this. Cyndi said she procured a bunch of vintage clipboards, and this was one too that I forgot I had. So I was excited to find that. I think what she mentioned is going to be very similar to this, but we'll be bringing you a few more ideas with these clipboards too. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me today and spending part of your day with me. I appreciate it very much, and we will catch you in the next video. I'll link all of our social media down below, and be sure to like and subscribe this video. That helps us out a lot. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.